Hey guys, welcome to the stream. My name's Josh. This is Cultivate Your Best Self, and here it's about seeking knowledge. It's about seeking a deeper knowledge of yourself, who you aspire to become, how and why you value time and money. Sorry, I was just every time the stream starts, I never really know when it starts exactly until I see this little green light turn on my computer. And so I usually wait for that green light to turn on, but I noticed in my previous live streams, when I do that, I look kind of serious when I first start. So I want to try and start it off with a smile at least. I threw myself off with a smile. But anyway, today's live stream is all about motivation, how it works, how to cultivate it, and we're gonna kind of dive deep into understanding how our motivations work, and hopefully we'll get some discussion going if we have some people pop into the live stream, which would be awesome. I've been getting a little bit more here and there, kind of trickle in, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Got my notes up. I'm gonna put up the presentation. I'm trying to have a presentation for each live stream for you guys to kind of follow along with what I'm talking about. So it's not just my beautiful face up on the up on the live stream. Oh, and I actually have a drink today. I've got myself a michelada. How's that? Can you see it? Oh, I can't really see it. It's kind of. But anyway, grab yourself a drink while I set up really quickly here. Grab yourself a drink, a snack. And we'll jump in and learn about motivation. I've got a lot of fun stuff to share with you guys today. I geek out all over all this stuff that I talk about on this channel. So excited to share what I've learned. I thought my dog was right behind me. Okay, let me set this up really quick. Actually, before we get started, I just realized that there was something I wanted to share, and it's, excuse me, I'm gonna read what I wrote here and try and kind of say it from the heart, because this is that's where I wrote it from. But basically, we're all in this thing together that we call life. I'm out here trying to figure it out just like all of you. But I'm also trying to share what I've learned and implement it into my own life so that it just might help one of you out there. If you're enjoying these live sessions, consider liking this video and subscribing so that it can potentially expand my reach, so that it can, potentially reach other people out there that might need, to hear the things that I have to talk about on this channel. If you have something worth sharing, by all means, share it in the comments below, because if there's anything that I've learned, it's that there's always something that we can learn from each other. With that being said, I wanted to start off the presentation with a video, or a clip rather. Bless you. The clip is from one of my favorite movies called Office Space. If you haven't seen it, I recommend you check it out. It's pretty hilarious. But I'm going to play that before I start the presentation, and it'll tie in later on. But let me see if I can, that should be okay to play on here, right? I don't know, we'll see. Hopefully it doesn't get taken down. But let me minimize my camera. And then I gotta bring it on top. There we go. Make it a little bit bigger. Oh, it's okay. Okay. Let's see. Hopefully you guys can hear it. I think you should be able to hear it.
The thing is, Bob, it's not that I'm lazy. It's that I just don't care.
Don't care?
It's a problem of motivation, all right? Now, if I work my ass off and Initech ships a few extra units, I don't see another dime. So where's the motivation? And here's something else, Bob. I have 8 different bosses right now.
I beg your pardon?
8 bosses.
8?
8, Bob. So that means that when I make a mistake, I have 8 different people coming by to tell me about it. That's my only real motivation, is not to be hassled. That and the fear of losing my job. But you know, Bob, that'll only make someone work just hard enough not to get fired.
That's such a good clip. But I promise I will tie in a little bit later. So let me pull up the presentation and expand. There we go. And yeah, that aligns. Okay. So I want to start with fear as a motivator. And I'm going to illustrate that with this concept of something called. Oh, let's see. I'm getting a warning. What does it say? There are features only available to partners in the YouTube Studio Content Manager. I think I may have gotten into some trouble by playing that that clip. Maybe I'll avoid playing clips in the future. I'll have to check this out after the stream. Hopefully it doesn't is it affecting the stream? I don't think so. But no one's here, so no one can really say anything. Like, you're fine, I can still see you. I'm just gonna have to assume it's still going. Okay, yeah, it's still going. Okay, so I want to illustrate this concept of fear as a motivator with this idea of homeostasis versus progress. And by homeostasis, I mean an automatic process that we tend to go through to keep things the same. At a deep subconscious level, change is felt to be dangerous and a threat to our survival. And we believe that the safest course is to withdraw from what is new and different, basically to avoid change. And it serves as a protective function by minimizing the risks and fears associated with change. Does that make sense? You know, like when we get older and we kind of get into our routine, we work so hard to kind of maintain that status quo, you know, like to keep things the same. Because oftentimes we fear change so much that we kind of desire that stability. And I mention it here. I'm getting that warning again. But I'll look into that warning later. But anyway, yeah, so some of the values that are associated with this idea of homeostasis are things like comfort, safety, order, stability, and predictability. And I don't know if you'll notice kind of a theme with those particular values. Sorry, I feel like I'm gonna sneeze. But resistance to change is based on fear as a motivator. And it's very limiting because it opposes progress, it opposes change, even when that change is needed or useful. And oftentimes it could lead to life being very boring. And for some, you know, that's a problem. For others, you know, it might be okay. You know, there's gonna be people out there who are okay with just, you know, not having things change so much. You know, they kind of like thrive off that stability, and even like for their mental health, they need that type of stability. And I'm not talking about those types of people. I'm talking about, you know, people that kind of get to a point where they need that change, like feels like something's missing. And I think I touch on it on the next slide. But yeah, over time, being in this state can feel like we're stuck or that something is missing, and we can feel like we're meant for something more. This urge towards progress presents itself at different times in people's lives. You know, I've seen kids in their teens that feel like they're behind, and I've seen, you know, people when they're in their 60s feeling like they need to do something more with their life. And that's what I mean by it presents itself at different times in people's lives. You know, there's something called quarter life crisis, midlife crisis. I don't know if there's a 3/4 life crisis, but things like that, where something kind of has to drastically change to make someone feel like things are going to be okay again. And then my proposal for progress is I'm here to get you to recognize that it's a matter of motivation. Overriding your programming from fear being your primary motivator to your core values being your primary motivators. Give me just 1 second. I'm gonna blow my nose because I keep getting this tickle, but I'm still here. Maybe I should mute this so you guys don't have to hear me blow my nose. I'll be right back. Okay, it's much better. If you guys are rewatching this, like replaying back the live stream, just hopefully you can skip, like, that whatever 30 seconds it took. I want to get into the two types of motivation. This is a really brief overview, but I'm of the mindset that one is greater than the other, but that doesn't necessarily mean that some people might benefit more from the second one. So there's intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is just motivation that comes from within. And it's driven sorry. Whew, I don't know what's up with me today. It's driven by internal factors like interest and enjoyment. Some of the benefits include, it leads to more long-term engagement, creativity, and well-being. I was gonna sneeze again. Oh man, my nose. But what I've found over the course of a lot of research that I've done over the past year or so, if not more, is that the best intrinsic motivator is to live your life according to your core values. And I just recently came across someone on Reddit that I'm currently trying to help, and they asked me a question about, what does it mean to cultivate your core values? Like, they didn't understand the concept of, or they couldn't grasp the concept of, like, really what it meant to identify and know what your core values are. And so I attempted to give my explanation as to what that meant exactly. And all I told them was, it's a set of beliefs that you have, either about yourself or a set of beliefs that you want to embody. And it takes time to discover what those are, but once you find out, it adds so much more purpose to your life, and it provides so much more motivation to do the things that you believe in, to live your life according to the things that you believe in. And so I think that's one of the things that, if you were to ask almost any successful person that you know, that, if they would agree that living life according to their core values is what kind of really drives them to do what they do. Um, and I wouldn't be surprised even if some people that are in leadership positions, um, they kind of naturally live their life according to their core values, but aren't fully aware that that's what they're doing. Because in the previous live streams that I've done, especially the one on self awareness, um, some people don't even realize that that's what they're doing because they lack the self awareness to understand that they might be living their life according to their core values. They just do it naturally, and that's actually the case for quite a few leaders. But some of the more self-aware ones, they understand that they're living their life and making decisions based on their core values. And then the second one is extrinsic motivation, and that's just driven by external factors, things outside of yourself, and it's affected by things like rewards or punishments. Give me a second. Okay. Some of the benefits, though, can be that it's great for getting you to start on a task. Say, for example, I've seen this most, I think, with students and deadline-driven motivations, especially when it gets much much closer to the deadline of whatever assignment or report that they have to work on. Actually getting started, it can be heavily driven by how close they are to that date, and that's an example of extrinsic motivation and an external factor, because they want to avoid whatever consequence comes from avoiding their responsibility. And then office space, that clip that I played in the beginning, which I think might have gotten me into a little trouble. But in that clip, he talks about that he's not lazy, he just doesn't have the right motivation, and that working only hard enough to get fired, that to me is fear as a motivator, the fear of getting fired or the consequences of getting fired. That he's only willing to work hard enough to not get fired, and that's being driven by fear as a motivator. And you don't want to be using fear as a motivator, because it only gets you to it has a limit to how much you work. And when you're motivated by intrinsic values, intrinsic motivation, that has the potential to push you way further than someone who's extrinsically motivated. Does that make sense? Hey, welcome to the live stream. I just wanted to be sure that that people are able to join, because I played a clip earlier from a movie, and I got a warning that popped up, and I don't entirely know what the warning says, but I think it was warning me that I can't play like copyrighted footage or anything like that. So I was just curious if it was preventing people from coming in, but apparently not. So that's good. Empowerment. These are the three questions that you have to ask yourself, whether or someone else, about whether or not they feel empowered. Number one, do you believe you can do it? And that's a training question, and I'll get to what that means. Do you believe it will work? It's an education question. Again, I'll get to what that means. And then, is it worth it? Is it worth it? That's an intrinsic motivation question. So, if you answered no to any of these questions with regard to a certain goal or a certain mission that you have in your life? Ask yourself those three questions, and if no is an answer to any one of those, then what's required is either education, training, or a combination of the two. That's it. Training equals you performing the behavior and receiving feedback, usually from someone who's, qualified or an expert at whatever it is that you're training to do. And an example I can give is, with regard to, this whole live stream setup, working my camera, working the lighting, all of that. I go to YouTube to do the training, or to do the education, and then I actually do the live stream to do the training. It's me performing the behavior, and then, as I get more people joining in on the live stream, I'll receive more feedback from them to find ways that I can improve. And then education is just learning the behavior and asking questions to kind of clarify anything that seems confusing or doesn't make sense to you. And so your goal to kind of build more self-motivation is to allow yourself to feel empowered. And to do that, you have to answer yes to each of these three questions. And when you do that, I hope that you're able to see like just how empowered you are, believing in yourself that you can do something because you feel you have the competence to actually perform the task at hand. And then, do you believe it will work? If you believe in your training and in your education, or for whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, that's incredibly empowering. And you have to kind of allow yourself to realize that. And then, is it worth it? Is more of a question of intrinsic motivation. If it's something that matters to you, then it will very likely be worth it. But if it doesn't, then at that point you might want to question why it is you're doing it. That's empowerment. Autonomy, the power of choice. So when you believe you have a sense of autonomy, which is just like feeling like you have the power to choose, then you feel more self-motivated. A lot of us feel like we don't have a choice, like that we're obligated to do the things that we're doing, especially with things like your job. People who are living paycheck to paycheck, they typically don't feel like they have a choice. But if they suddenly change like tiny things about what they do in their day-to-day lives, like kind of cutting back on cutting back on certain things in order for them to allow themselves to save enough money to build an emergency fund, and then outside of the work, outside of like their work life, finding other opportunities out there in their free time. There are certain things that you can do to allow yourself to have choices. And when you understand that you can take control of all those different aspects, then it's another way of kind of empowering yourself and understanding that that you have the power of choice. And then mindset plays a huge role in this as well. I mean, consider the following statements like, I have to go to work or I'll get fired. Or what about, I get to go to work where there's lots of opportunities. And it might differ, for some of you out there who, some of you might hate your job, some of you might love your job. But it's just a matter of kind of pushing yourself to understand that there are certain things you have to change about your situation if you're looking for that progress. Take a quick drink of my michelada. Community. It's 6:30. I might finish this early. The power of community. Psychologists will agree that social support is critical when it comes to motivation. When you feel a sense of connection with other people, you're more motivated and you're happier. social support can help with accountability and empowerment, especially when the other party, whoever it is that you're looking for feedback from, encourages you and gives you recognition for your hard work. This is one of the things that I try and tell people when I see things like, uh, why do we need coaches for, or why do we need mentors for, or why do we need consultants for? It's because they have a certain expertise and a certain understanding, especially like when it's like science backed or like research backed, neuroscience backed. There are plenty of studies out there that show, having someone else out there that gives you the education, gives you the training, and it's kind of like an accountability partner for you, that you're much more likely to accomplish and succeed where you would otherwise fail. And so that's why I think there is a huge market out there for different types of coaches. Life coaching, health coaches, accountability coaches. You name it. I'm sure there's a coach out there for whatever it is that you might be wanting to look into, or just instructors in general. Whether it be for like art, golf, tennis, any kind of sport. There's going to be an instructor that you can look out for. But there's a very fundamental understanding that sometimes we need that encouragement, we need that education, we need that training, and not all of us are self-motivated enough to perform as hard as we would for someone else. Does that make sense? And that's actually a very huge fundamental understanding of self-management, and why self-management is such a critical quality in leaders and people that people that are at the top and have seen the most success in whatever field you can think of. um, People tend to work harder for others than they do for themselves. And when you can work hard for yourself, when you have that skill of self-management, then the potential for you to succeed and achieve a lot more is much greater. And so that's why I'm so huge on the whole self-management topic here on this channel, because I fully believe that if you understand and you develop this skill of self-management, then you will achieve great things, or the potential for you to achieve great things is much higher than if you didn't have that skill. Did I get into that? Oh, yeah. But you know, uh, it's really, it's also really critical to get feedback from others as well, which is why like even some of those that you see in positions of power, or not power, but in positions of like leadership or management positions, like they often, part of their success is derived from the mentors that they've had, the coaches or consultants that they've talked to and received feedback from, and that's really important for progress and for your personal growth and development. It's 6:30. There's some other stuff I can go over because it's only 6:30 right now. This is kind of like the recap of everything I just went through, but essentially, don't let fear overpower you. Remember that you're in control, and don't forget to breathe. Some of the answer to relieving some of the stress that you might feel with anything in life can be overcome with just a few deep breaths. And I always remind myself of that when there are certain things like really stressing me out, or things that I feel are out of my control, and to kind of get myself to move forward from that moment is to just take a few deep breaths and remember that I can only control things like my attitude, my effort, and my behavior. And then intrinsic motivation, I think, is a greater type of motivation than extrinsic motivation. And that's just motivation that you get from from within. And like I mentioned in previous live streams, with when it comes to core values, living your life by core values, especially when they align with your missions in life, that can be sufficient self motivation that you'd need to just continue to pursue and overcome challenges. And it's what I've found, and it's what I've seen with other successful entrepreneurs, especially the more successful like YouTubers. When they persist through, when they first start, and they persist through like the low count views of their first few videos, and that's what I'm going through right now too. But when you persist, when you derive that motivation from within, like it's almost like nothing can stop you. And that, I think that's more powerful than, say, like trying to prove Bob wrong, who said that you'll never amount to anything. um, Sometimes all you need is help in the form of training or education. So when it comes to something that you may not know, don't be afraid to speak up and ask for help, because sometimes all you need is that encouragement, that sense of community, that other people are struggling with you. I'm here struggling, every single day, and trying to figure things out just like you. But I'm out here persisting through the tough times, and through the challenges that life has to throw my way. And regardless of that, I will still continue to be here and show up on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6 to 7 p.m. Pacific time. I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me. Can you see my dog? No, you can't. My dog's staring at me. Oh man, okay. Align your actions with your core values, and you'll never make the wrong choice. And then seek out feedback from friends and family. Social support is critical to your progress. Oh, thank you. Now I'm gonna pull up some other notes that I have. Oop, let me get rid of that off the screen before I get in trouble again. I finished the presentation, and I'll go back to, I'll just leave it here, I guess, for now. But there's a couple of other things I want to touch on. I don't know if you guys know Alex, what's his name? Alex Hormozy. He's the $100 million man. I think that's what his nickname is. I don't know, but I watched a presentation of his on YouTube, and this is a guy who was homeless for a while. He lived on the floor of the gym that he went to, and he tried for a really long time to figure out how to get himself kind of like bootstrapped and get like what he wanted to do off the ground. And it took him years to figure out how to do it, but now he's worth hundreds of millions, I'm guessing. But he has this really great presentation on YouTube called How to Win at Anything. And in it, there are some things I want to touch on that are related to motivation, which is what we're talking about here. And he talks about, where does motivation come from? And he talks about some of like the fundamental like physiological forms of motivation, and I kind of attribute those more towards intrinsic motivation, but things like hunger, thirst, being tired, they all motivate you to Oh no. He does not want to lie down. It's hungry? Yeah. Oh. Guest appearance, my son. Or guest crier. He's just hungry. Are you hungry, Noah? You hungry? Where was I? So hunger, thirst, and being tired all motivate you to eat, drink, and sleep because they're physiological. You know, they're things that you can't really ignore. But when it comes to pursuing your missions or your dreams, when it comes to making money, you know, those things are psychological, and so it takes more effort to overcome those. It takes more effort to overcome those obstacles because, like I had mentioned in my presentation of fear being a motivator, it takes effort to overcome that fear of change or that fear of progress because you know it's that sense of the unknown, and the more we're able to push past it, you know, the more you expose yourself to it, the more comfortable you can become with being uncomfortable, and the sooner that you do that, the more you'll see the faster or quicker that you'll see progress. He talks about he talks about like when do you start, when in life do you kind of make the choice or the decision that you know things need to be better. And this is kind of a tough one to cover because it's different for everyone. I mean, I'm seeing, because I'm opening up myself more to finding other entrepreneurs or other content creators, other writers, other marketers. I'm seeing so many young kids, basically like late teens, early 20s, feeling like they're behind in life. And I kind of attribute that more to you know, the power of social media and its like more negative effects because they have much higher potential of being affected by what they see out there. You know, what's being portrayed as success, all this money, um, or this illusion of money. You know, illusion of people living in mansions, having supercars, and you know, when they're yet that young, they like I rarely find that they understand their own core values, and they rarely understand that life is more than just money. It's really what money can buy you, and it's that the freedom over your time. And I think when you begin to understand that money has the power to give you the freedom of controlling your time, then that's usually the point at which people tend to want to make that change. And for me, that occurred, I would say, probably about 3 years ago. You know, when I was realizing that I wasn't making progress at the firm that I was working for. You know, I'm in architecture, and I was feeling stagnant in life. You know, like I felt like no matter how long I worked or how hard I worked, I was never going to make enough money to be able to take control of my time. That I was always going to be at the mercy of, you know, my supervisor or the manager that I was working with, or the, you know, the principal that I was working with. And I had this really deep sense that I was meant for something more, and it took me years to figure that out. And my performance level at the job that I was doing was dropping significantly. You know, I was basically just doing enough to get by. You know, doing enough just to not get fired. But but I didn't want to do that. Like I appreciated what, you know, the things that they taught me there, and you know the level of organization that I can have, and the skills that I developed while I was there. You know, all the things um, that you know I want to promote, especially on this channel, that deal with self management, knowledge management, and money management. Well, the money management I did on my own, but you know the self management and the knowledge management, they had a huge impact on my abilities to be able to manage myself and manage my the information that I get on a day-to-day basis. But where was I going with that? um, but yeah, I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy with my job, and I knew I needed to change. So I left that job last year for a different job, just to get myself out of my comfort zone, because I had been, with the firm that I was working for last year, I had been with them for 8 plus years. And oh yeah, so I was talking about like when in life does it occur that people feel like they need to make a change in their lives, like a drastic change to begin to improve their lives, or to begin feel more joy and fulfillment in their lives. And for me, that happened at I want to say around age 33, 34. And it took me up until last year to kind of act on it. It took me those years to figure it out, and I'm still figuring it out. I'm still trying to figure out what it is that I want to do, and I know what I want to do. It's just taking more action. I'm doing a lot of research. I'm growing my knowledge, and I'm sharing now with the things that I'm learning, especially over the last year, because I've been reading a whole lot more, and I'm starting to take, my behaviors are reflecting, my actions are reflecting the the aspirational identity that I eventually want to achieve. I want to achieve like a better version of myself. And Alex Hormozy, that's when he says to start. When do you start? You know, changing things in your life is the moment you want to be the future version of yourself. And then when do you eventually become the future you? The moment you start performing the actions that the future version of yourself would do, that's when you become your future you. And you have to continue doing it because it takes time for the proof to show up. And he's talking in regards, he's talking like in relation to the amount of money that you're going to make. And I always felt like I had so much more potential than what was being utilized of me at the firm that I was working for. And so and the potential for me to have an impact on a lot of other people was, that quality was going to be fulfilled doing something else. And so that's kind of why I decided to make a change and quit the firm. I joined another firm. I held a senior position at that firm, but then that didn't last very long because the environment was way too toxic. The owner, I won't mention because they. But anyway, I now my life is like, I don't know. It's really crazy right now. I may reveal in a future live stream like what's going on, but right now I'm just trying to figure out this whole entrepreneurship thing. I'm gonna continue doing these live streams. I'm gonna start kind of promoting myself on TikTok, or not promoting myself, but like giving a lot of the feedback that I give here on this channel, and all the sharing that I'm doing with what I've learned, and things that I've implemented that have worked for me. I'm going to be sharing that in more bite-sized pieces on TikTok, and then I'm also going to be promoting um, a store that I've developed where I have these core value posters, and I just bought one last week. I think it was last week. Yeah, I bought one last week just so it should be delivered, if not tomorrow, then early next week, just so I can see the quality. But yeah, I'm really excited about these core value posters. They're not posters; they're canvas prints, similar to the one I have here above my desk that says "Mindset is everything." But I have different sizes, and then it's at least, I'm gonna say it's like around 20 different core values. But I'll post a link to those core values because those are ready for purchase. I want to create like a kind of a separate website, or maybe like an integrated website where it has those core value canvas prints plus like a guide for how to cultivate your core values, and then have like a an entire list of different core values that you can choose from. Maybe have like a survey or a questionnaire so you can discover what your core values are, and then a store so that you can, if you want, purchase your own core value canvas prints, and hopefully I'll get feedback, as people kind of um, want different kinds of core values, because there may be values on there that I don't have yet, but I'll build it out more and add more. I'll add more as time goes on, but I'm really excited about it because if you know me at all, like, I'm really big on core values and what they can do, because I truly believe that they're the cornerstone of personal and professional success, and they can help guide your life, they can help give you purpose, and help you drive the decisions that you make day in and day out to help you achieve your missions in life. Is that all I wanted to share from Alex's presentation? Oops. I think that was pretty much it. Yeah. Yeah, I think that was pretty much it. Let me look at some of the other notes I have from other articles. Excuse me. Oh, so I had this summary for this. I'll post this article in the description, but it's from a clinical psychologist and psychoanalyst, and she's the one who wrote on homeostasis versus progress, and it's kind of where I got my information from. But the summary that I have here is, or I don't know if it's from her. I want to say it's from the article, but it kind of looks like I wrote it. But what it says is, how can it be that perfectly intelligent people do such obviously counterproductive things so much of the time? Why do we do the things we know we shouldn't do, and why do we fail to do the things we know we should do? Excuse me. The simple answer to these questions is that the subconscious mind greatly influences all that we do. And if we come to understand ourselves at a deeper unconscious level, we have a chance to make changes in our lives that have the potential to last. And if you've been here before, you know that my channel is all about seeking a deeper knowledge of yourself. And because I truly think that if you're going to be someone who wants any level of success, whether it's in your career, or in a side hustle, or even with your family, or success in how much money you make, it's all going to require having that deeper understanding of yourself, so that you can find ways to best move forward that kind of fit your own personality, your own values, your own beliefs, your own aspirational identities. Everything about how self-aware you are all plays a role in the amount of success and joy and fulfillment that you see in your life. I think that's it for this one. I hope you guys got something out of it. Again, if you have something to share it in the comments below. Please like and subscribe. I'm hoping to grow this into more, at least 100 subscribers by the end of the year. And I'll continue to be here every Tuesday, Thursday evening, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific time. I'll always have a topic to talk about. I may not go the full hour every time, especially if we don't have that many viewers. Like I will attempt to be here the whole hour, You know what? No, I'm gonna be here the full hour. I'm gonna be here the full hour, even if there's no one here. I'm gonna continue to do it, and look for me on TikTok as well. Cultivate your best self. I'm on TikTok now. I'm back on there. I'm gonna be posting at least one thing every day, and then follow me on X, formerly Twitter, at CYCY best self. And then you should see my picture on there. But yeah, that's it for this one. Keep learning and keep growing.